All right. He is a workplace culture specialist. We've had him on before. Say hello to our friend here in the Mid-South. That is Jerry Acuff. Jerry, thanks for joining us
Welcome back.
Memphis Morning News.
Thank you, Tim and Karen. My favorite city in the world, Memphis, Tennessee, my hometown.
Well, we're glad to have you back on the radio this morning. Talking a little bit this morning about paternity leave. You know, as a mom now and having spent a few weeks myself on maternity leave, I felt it was hard enough to get maternity leave. Now I feel like there's a lot of talk about paternity leave, trying to spread the love when you have a new kid.
Yeah, and the studies show that actually having the father more involved is really, really a good thing. The children who have their dad involved, apparently in studies exhibit fewer behavioral problems. I can certainly learn to like that. Improve mental health outcomes, and they get higher cognitive test scores. It's also been shown that, if the father's involved early on, that, within 9 months they're even more involved, and that's sort of the case the rest of their life. So I think it's a really good thing. The challenge is, there is a double standard. The 1993 Family Medical Leave Act, mandated that you couldn't lose your job over maternity leave. The companies had to give you, I think, for women 12 weeks, but really didn't make any mention of men. So some companies are doing this. And I think you could call them sort of, progressive companies like Amazon, Square, Yahoo, Johnson & Johnson. And I think it's a retention strategy, candidly. The people who want this apparently are millennials, which is now 40% of the workforce, and highly educated individuals are apparently the ones who clamor the most for it. So, if you're going to have a big company, or, any company where keeping employees is important, it's probably a good idea to think this thing through and add this to your benefits. Most companies, not all, but most companies can do without anybody for 4, 5, or 6 weeks. And so I think it's a great idea. It's coming. It's just a question of, is it going to be forced by the ACLU, which I think there are some legal cases that will be brought about this, especially as, we have these new family structures, with, co-parenting by, people of the same sex. Those things have not been sufficiently addressed, and my guess is they have to be.
Jerry Acuff joining us here on Memphis Morning News, and paternity leave has been the topic this morning. And I think you mentioned the average amount of time was 11 or 12 weeks, I guess, for maternity leave. Is that the family? I guess is that FMLA or is that just a company policy? Are they one in the are they one in the same? I guess.
Well, what's interesting is studies show that men take a week off, women take an average of 11 weeks off. The government says in the 1993 Family Medical Leave Act that a woman can take 12 weeks where she has her job is protected. The reality is that the vast majority of these are unpaid leave.
Right. I was about to say we're talking about paid paternity leave. I don't remember my maternity leave being all paid. I had enough sick days that I had saved up for working at my company for 9 years, but I don't think everybody gets paid all the way through their maternity leave.
No, in fact, I think it's about 90% of the people do not get paid. What makes it even more, problematic, where you do have, parental leave, the men actually get paid more often than the women do.
Of course.
And so there's lots of inequities there that I think, there's no question have to be worked out. The challenge is, the big challenge is, is it going to be mandated paid leave? If you look at, now here's an interesting statistic. Of 196 countries, only 4 have no federally mandated policy, for paid leave, and we're one of them. And so, I think there's no question that it's gonna come. I mean, if you live in like Denmark or Sweden, you get like 497. I could be wrong, but it's over 400 days off, both parents when you have a child. And so there's some countries that are, really sort of way out in the front on this thing, and for obvious reasons, they understand the value of having both parents early in a child's development. But we're far behind on this issue. But my guess is the law will catch up with us. I guess, is that the pressure from millennials who have, this really strong push for work-life balance, probably more pronounced in any, generation that we've ever seen. They'll push these issues forward. And then, this whole concept of new family structures. I mean, I watched on television the other day, and I see this guy on Sunday who's interviewed, and he and his partner, and he was a foster child for 8 years and had really checkered past. He and his partner have adopted 4 foster children, and he's gone on this sort of whole initiative to give these kids backpacks.
I saw that.
Their backpack. I said to myself, now you tell me that guy doesn't deserve time off?
Yeah. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. That's a great example. A great example.
Hey, Jerry, thanks for checking in with us, my friend. Don't be a stranger. And in the meantime, we'll try to behave until we hear more about the workplace. Thanks, Jerry.